So as you can see, I've obviously got the DZ41 on the E10, but it's improved upon it. It's got a bigger screen, the buttons feel a bit more ergonomic. But one benefit I do like over this display compared to the previous one is walk mode, hold down minus. It don't have to do anything fancy, it just needs to give me the vital information I need at a glance, and then I can continue on with the journey. What's crackalacking, guys and girls? Hopefully everyone's doing alright. I know I am. I'm going to be completely honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, this display could not have come anytime sooner, but of course I'm referring to this, the DZ41 display compatible with all Bafang motors. Now, for reference, the one I have here is the CANBus variant, which is going to be compatible with my Dengfu E10. So for those of you who run the M500, the M600, the M510, or the CANBus variants of the M400 or the M620, as well as the M420 and the M625, I tell you, man, Bafang have definitely made a lot of CANBus motors. This display will be compatible. Similarly enough, actually, if you use the UART, which is the older style Bafang motors, such as the BBS01, BBS02, BBS-HD, M620, M400, and hub motors, it is the UART variant in which you'll need in order to have this display compatible. Basically, all you need to do is just watch out for which connector pin you are going to be using. So this one is the triangle style one. If you get the correct one, it will be compatible. But just for reference, this is the DZ41, and the display in which we'll be replacing will be this stock display which came with my Dengfu E10 set. I'm going to be honest, I am not a fan of this display. Never have, never will be. I know a lot of people have not taken too kindly for me calling this the Shimano Steps rip-off display from Bafang. I stand by what I said, and I mean it, and this is literally a rip-off display. And to be honest, this is the display with the Bluetooth functionality, so this allows me to connect with the Bafang Go app. I know some people probably didn't even realize that Bafang has an app, but they do. It's nothing much to talk about, but yeah, they do. But this is that display, so this is more expensive than the stock display in which you'd ordinarily get. Incidentally, in case people are wondering as to how the display stocks up to other displays, so again, DZ41. This is a display which most of you will be familiar with. This is a Bafang, I want to say it's the DCP18. This is something in which a lot of the M620 fans will be familiar with. It's center mounted. Apologies that I've obviously snapped the band here. Like I said, I'm notorious at breaking Bafang displays. But this is something in which people have asked me to do a comparison for. So center mounted, left mounted, this is more ideal in my opinion. And incidentally, for those who want to have something more mainstream, I have here a specialized Turbo Connect display. So obviously the specialized displays, they are obviously going to be more minimalistic and smaller, but at the same time, Specialized have an ethos in relation to how they wanted the user interface for their bikes. Bafang, it's questionable as to what their user interface is, but I will gladly say that this display rectifies wrongs in relation to the previous displays, because as you can see, there is plenty of cable. I've measured the cable between the connector to the display. It's about 56 centimeters, plenty of room for me to run it on 820mm wide bars, further outboard. There's other displays in which I could obviously reference. So this is the 500C display. Funnily enough, actually, this is not the same 500C display in which I run on the Dengfu E22, but they're all the same. But just referencing the cable which protrudes, obviously the DZ41 is a lot longer. So like I said, this automatically works well on 820mm wide bars. This will have no problems, believe me. And similarly enough, actually, for those of you who want to see the actual function, the form factor, sorry, between the two displays, as you can see, the DZ41, it's a more smaller compared to the 500C at the top, but at the same time, in terms of the actual protrusion of the displays, they're near enough equal, especially when you put them on the bars. This one looks like it's a bit more bulkier, but believe me, they are near enough the same. The only real differences between the two literally be the screen size. The screen size on the DZ41 is a lot bigger compared to the 500C. But what I'll do is I'll pan over to the GoPro footage as to what I've got so far in relation to me using the 500C display, so that you guys can gauge as to whether or not it's something in which you guys wouldn't mind obviously having, and then I'll give you my conclusion as to how I've been able to gauge the display so far.
All right, let's see how you do then. DZ41 on the E10. We're gonna cut through, go this way. Oh, a lot of there is overgrown. So as you can see, I've obviously got the DZ41 on the E10, so I'm able to run it left hand, as opposed to how the previous display was, where I would have been somewhat struggling in order for me to mode switch. Now, being cutthroat honest with you, I'm not the kind of person to usually mode switch all the time, but it is nice to have the luxury in order for me to just toggle it, for me to obviously increase or decrease the levels of assist, which is beautiful. And obviously I have that with this display because I'm able to run it a lot more outboard than what I could do previously. It's almost reminiscent to the 500C display, which I run on the Dengfu E10. In fact, in some regards, I would say that this display is almost like it's an upgrade to the 500C display, because it takes cues from that display, but it's improved upon it. It's got a bigger screen, the buttons feel a bit more ergonomic, which is pretty cool. Bloody hell, E10, you are quick when you want to be, aren't you? I know it's only single track as to what I'm doing, but even so, you should hopefully be able to see what the display looks like whilst I'm actually using the bike. Bloody hell, hey, it's nice. And even like looking at the display now, I can easily see the speed, how much battery percentage I've got, level of assist I'm in. It don't have to do anything fancy, it just needs to give me the vital information I need at a glance, and then I can continue on with the journey. So for anyone who's wondering, the equipment I'm running on the E10, I'm running the one-up dropper lever on a single band, and then the Morocco 4 pop brakes and levers. Now obviously my equipment is all individual. The Morocco levers do have the provisions in order to support Shimano iSpec, but I've just chosen to keep everything individually. But as you can see, the DZ41, because it's left mounted, you know, it's not taking up as much space on the bars. Sorry about this though. So I've even heard that this display, whoa, low bridge, PNX, story of my life. The luxuries of being tall. Sorry, I've heard stories that this display is even compatible with the Tongshin motors. So in which case, this isn't specifically a Bafang display. It's a display which just recognizes the Bafang protocols of either the UART or the CANBus. But I believe the Tongshin uses the UART communication protocols, which is why those motors, you can run the egg riders with them. So yeah. All right, so I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to try and climb this because a lot of everything around here is overgrown. But one benefit I do like over this display compared to the previous one is warp mode. Warp mode was a hassle in order to activate, but for this, it's gone back to how Bafang displays used to do warp mode, and you would just hold down minus. So in which case you can be in whatever level of assist you're in, hold down minus, and the bike will move. This is not lost on me, people. There's been a couple of times in which, unfortunately, when I've been on, say, the M500, where it's just not had enough grunt in order for me to get up the hill. Not saying that the M500 is weak, but there's been circumstances where I've been in, say, level 3 or level 4. I've been at an incline, and then the next thing you know, I've had to press minus the amount of times as to how high I've been up in the levels of assist, then press minus again to go past 0, and then I've been able to get into warp mode. So nice to know that minus does warp mode, no issues. Level 5. Did I forget to mention that today is a very, very hot day? Whoa! Level 5. I'm not gonna lie, people, this display, it is a much needed improvement for an E10, which I am seriously impressed with. I feel like I've literally got this bike dialed in. and I am thankful. All right, so conclusion, DZ41, yeah, a much needed accessory for the Dengfu E10. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that this will probably be the display of choice I'll use in relation to any CANBus communication protocol motor I pursue in the future. And obviously, you guys know I'm building a Dengfu E10 V2. I'm slowly getting the parts for that, so obviously I'll get another display, and that will be the display in which I'll use for that rig. But I will go as far as to say that for any of you UART communication protocol Bafang users, it's up to you. I mean, in terms of the functions, which I'll leave a link in the description for the downloadable PDF manual in English, there are certain functions which there are other displays which are going to be a lot better. But for the purpose of EMTB usage, for one, I can actually get it a lot more, you know, far outboard on the handlebars, which is how I prefer to ride my EMTBs anyway. And the second thing is because, look, I get it. There is no such thing as an indestructible display. Granted, I've not had any issues regarding the 500C, touch wood, but at the same time, I appreciate that if a display breaks, sometimes they can cost the earth in order to replace. This DZ41, even though that the only way in which I've been able to get it so far at the time of me making this recording is through AliExpress, it hasn't been that inexpensive, and I'd go as far as to say that, yeah, I'll probably be getting another one, like I said, for the Dengfu E10 V2. But nonetheless, I'll leave a link in the description, like I said, to the downloadable PDF regarding the instructions, which goes through all of the functions of the display. Again, there are some differences between the UART and the CANBus communication protocol in terms of what functions you can use, but overall, for the E10, which I'm going to be running them on, it's a much needed improvement. But I'll leave it here anyway. Drop your comments down below, smash that like button if you found this video useful and interesting, and of course, until the next time, take it easy, stay safe, peace be the journey, #FABT, and I'll catch you then. Peace.